Mic check, mic check. Good afternoon and happy Sunday, everyone. Thanks for joining. And for those watching on the replay, special welcome to you. I know that's like most people watching this after we air. But we are here for another Sunday live stream here on the Drop channel. And we are having a discussion on productivity here in Jamaica. And this was inspired by a post made by the Prime Minister. That was a speech given by the Jamaica Stock Exchange, which is funny because I just released an interview that I did with the Jamaica Stock Exchange. But of course, we're going to ease into it. As always, I love to hear what city, what state, what country that you are chiming in from. We are also going to be just giving some some Jamaica updates, if you will, in general, after we go through the productivity discussion. Mainly a lot of stuff happening in tourism. I think it's just really, really important to highlight, and things are moving forward in a positive direction in like many ways. So excited to share some of that information with you. And today we have our sponsor, which is Suncoast Beach Club in St. Thomas. So really thankful to them. And for those who are unaware of what Suncoast Beach Club is, it is the premier development in St. Thomas. Literally, as I've been saying, the tip of the spear in residential development on that side of the island, without question. And I'm going to be talking about them more later in the stream. And I actually did a video with them, a couple podcasts, but did a video feature with them basically a year ago. And I have all the links below in the description. So if you want to hop ahead, so to speak, you can check them out below. But we're going to be talking about them in a little bit more detail later on in the live stream today. So shout outs once again to Suncoast Beach Club for sponsoring today's live stream. Much appreciated. And I see the comments coming in, people checking in. Thank you so much. And as I was saying earlier, we are getting into the discussion on productivity in Jamaica. And if you've been hanging out a while or been on here, I would say definitely the last quarter of last year, I think I've been kind of ramping up that discussion. You'll know that I've been talking about productivity and the importance of focusing on it. So the timing again of this Twitter or X post by the Prime Minister couldn't have been better. And as I mentioned, it was at the given by the JC, the Jamaica Stock Exchange, a presentation. And this week I released the interview that I did at the Jamaica Stock Exchange. So shout out to them. Thank you also, like the JSE and CBX, excuse me, for having me on their program, and Mr. Rose for interviewing me. Really, truly an honor. And I had the opportunity to talk a lot about Negril for sure, but also different aspects of real estate and real estate opportunities in Negril, as well as talking about ThropX, because that's around the time that we actually had the interview. So I'm actually going to put that up here in the comments. Don't go ahead and watch it right now. Hang around with me, hang around with us here in the stream. So we can have a nice engaging discussion, but check it out. I put it there in the comment section if you want to watch it. I thought it was pretty good, and it was just like an amazing opportunity to talk about like my perspective on Jamaica and why I think we are in just a really great position. And I got to speak about the potential that we have here, which again is very much in alignment with our discussion that we're going to have here today. So let's hop into some comments real quick, and then we're going to get into our discussion today, which is actually a video that we're going to be watching. What's going on, Donna? Good to have you. Happy Sunday to you as well. Thank you very much for the commendation on the interview this week. We're talking about the Jamaica Stock Exchange interview. And yes, please listen to Donna. Hit that like button on your way in. Helps out a tremendous amount. Andrew Crawford, happy Sunday, everyone. It's cold here in New York. I am sorry to hear that. Donna Bryce says, many of us love the format of you walking on the beach while doing your live. Any chance of that occasionally? Yes, I actually love that as well, because it was very easy. It was just just fluidity of thought, and I didn't have to edit anything. I just had to put some lower thirds, but there, as you saw, there was no cutting, there was nothing. There was just me walking, talking, showing what's happening on the beach, which is nothing much. I was kind of headed south on the beach, so which is there's not much activity down there. But however, yes, I am absolutely going to be doing that. I would love to do that on a more regular basis. So maybe in a couple of weeks, I will do that again. And from a production standpoint, that format is amazing for me because again, no editing. It's like doing the live stream here. It's a lot of, I would say, a lot of preparation work in terms of like getting articles together, putting my thoughts together, coming up with the agenda, featuring the sponsor, that sort of thing. But it's once this live stream is complete, it's over. I move on to the next thing, as opposed to like doing like a podcast or a vlog or a real estate feature. You got the prep plus the production plus post production, which is the longest part of the entire process. So walking and talking to a camera on a beach, easy. We will be doing that again, no questions. Nicole says, happy Sunday, Throp and Throppers. Nice to have you. TDC Consultants, not going to lie, hated feeling of nothing Throp lives for a month. We only do that during Christmas, New Year's. That's kind of like a tradition on this channel. It's taking a little break, but you got me for basically another year for the most part, at least 11 months. So we won't be doing that. And we're going to be keeping these live streams going. But we're going to have an adjustment in March. So I'm waiting to like make this announcement of this different type of content that I'm going to be creating in March. So two, like really, I think really big pieces of content that I'm excited to share with you all. So hopefully once all the ducks are lined up, we can make that announcement next Sunday, if not the following Sunday. But within the next 2 weeks, I'm very excited to share with you what's happening in March. And I think it's going to be great for the channel, great for you all, and really get you some really boots on the ground information with a lot of things happening here. Jay Fitz, hi Throp, checking in from Atlanta. Good to see you, man. Paula McKenzie, hi Throp from London, UK. Hello. The other thing that I'm doing, just so you know, like I'm announcing, I think Thursday, Friday, but you already know, but I'm running the London Marathon in April 27th. And going to be very much sharing my training journey, comeback journey to running, in a sense, on my Instagram. I'm going to put elements of it here on YouTube, but it's just one of those things that I always say, like, people don't really care about my running, and that's okay. That's not what you all are here for. I will share elements of my journey, and we will be doing a meetup in London for sure, and I will let you know. Hold on, is it the 27th? Let me make sure, like, I'm saying the right date here. But we will be doing a meetup in London. Yes, the 27th. Excuse me, I'm right. It's the 27th of London, 27th of April in London, London Marathon, and we're going to be doing a meetup the week after that. And we are still trying to source a venue and also the agenda. It's going to be a meetup, but there's going to be like Throp-esque like as well. Like it's a very smaller version of that. And like speaking with the UK contingent out there and the UK subscribers, it seems like that's something that people want. So trying to work out all the logistics with that, but we will be doing something in London, no questions. And you all will be invited. We'll have a list and everything like that, and a great venue, I'm sure. And also some great partners and sponsors as well. So that will probably be, hopefully will be shored up by, if not the end of this month, by early March for sure. Galloway Kevin, greetings to Agent Throp, Gervin, Gadsden, Clover, Taylor, Eunice, Ingram, and all friends. Good to see you. Thanks for hopping on. TDC says I'm elated you're alive again. Absolutely. Kingston 16, good to see you. Saying hello from California. Priscilla Payne, happy Sunday. Sherry Case, happy Sunday. Blessings and much respect. Peter V, commercial tourist, checking in from sunny Arizona. Good for you. Nicole, what's going on? Greetings, Throppers from Toronto. Ling Ling, any update on the airport? No, there's supposed to be an announcement release next month. Is they're doing like all this data gathering, due diligence, if you will. So next month we're supposed to get some information on there on that. Justin, what's going on? Good to see you. Nicole says thanks for sending out the survey from Throp X conference. Looking forward to this year. Awesome. Glad you got it. Thanks for participating. Rome, hey Throp, I DM'd you. What are some of the tourism island opportunities inland Jamaica? Everything seems to be focused on the coast, but I think there are opportunities inland as well. I'm gonna circle back to that, Jerome, in a sec. What's going on, Chris? Throp and Throppers, big up from Strong Island in the building. Corey MPA, what's up, Throp and chat in Manchester? Awesome. Galloway Kevin says, always happy to see and hear from you too, brother. Hoping to schedule an interview with you this year sometime. What is your word? Tracy Luck, hello from Maryland. Miami in the house. Galloway Kevin, greetings. Howard Garfield, Galloway, and watchers. All right, cool. All right, before we get into the meat of the matter, which is the discussion on productivity in Jamaica and the video that we're going to watch, I will talk about Jerome's question here. Hey, Thop, I DM'd you. What are some tourism opportunities inland? Everything seems to be focused on the coast, but I think there are opportunities inland as well. Yes, there are absolutely tons and tons of opportunity inland Jamaica. And, remember, like a lot of people like are not necessarily like beach people. There are mountain people as well. I consider I'm a split, for sure. I very much appreciate being in the mountains and having that mountain view. And I don't know if you're talking about the mountains, but like Jamaica is very, very mountainous, and it's just, to me, a little bit more in nature, and maybe I'm just taking for granted living on the beach. So I feel like I have a higher appreciation for being in the mountains and spending extended periods of time there. And especially nowadays with our addiction to the internet, to the phone, and being on our screens, whatever have you, I think I just think it's just more, it has become a little bit more precious and appreciated to be able to get away from that. And not to say that, hey, in the mountains, there's no internet or no this or that is available for sure. But I think there is a great opportunity to create a bit of an oasis of a destination in Jamaica that is just in very many ways truly authentic, real Jamaica, that gets you away from the modern addictions that we are suffering from in modern society. And so I always think, when I think of mountains, I think of, and especially like a tourist hub, a hospitality hub. It's an opportunity to reset, an opportunity to get away, to refocus. And I feel like being in nature in general does that for you. And if you can offer that to the world, and if you can offer that to the market, I think you'll do exceptionally well. And this is purely my opinion, but like with something like that, I think it's important to really consider making it super sustainable, because you're in the mountains, and like whatever that you need, there's almost no, like your bare necessities, like there's no real need for you to go to the corner store, one, because there probably isn't any corner store, or that you need to go down to get this or get that, but everything is there that you need. So I feel like even doing, a yoga retreat is probably the easiest thing to talk about, but that sort of thing, I hope this is not a trend, but it's trending that people are becoming more focused on their mental health and their physical health. And even the simplest of things, of like moving away from alcohol, and realizing how much, and I'm not saying this in a judgmental way, but that how much of a poison alcohol can be, and even the smallest amount of alcohol, like how it can affect you day to day. And forget about it. We all know if you overindulge in something like that, it can have really adverse effects on your body, your mind, and just your overall life. And people are moving away from that. So like even like there's a rise of mocktails. I think even last year I saw like there was a slowdown in I think it was American beer sales, if I'm not mistaken. And I feel like this is like an indication of like where people's minds are at. And again, having this focus on their own personal health and well-being. And if you can, again, create some sort of an oasis that people can get away from that and think and focus on recovery. We have a lot of hot springs in Jamaica. We have you could do cold therapy. Like there's so many different things that you can think and focus of that I think have being in an inland setting will give you an opportunity to provide that to the market. At least this like when you pose that question, like this is like what comes to mind, and this is like what I'm thinking of more than anything else. Sorry, AC turned off. So yeah, something to consider, and forget about it if you I don't know if you think about owning a property or you have a property, but if you have like a river running through your property, I mean, what a blessing to have that. I know a few people have that. Um, and there was this there's a lot of farms as well in the mountains as well. I know a lot of people do that, and I think that's very, very attractive. And just kind of maintaining this mindset of getting back to nature, I think is like really it is huge opportunity, huge opportunity. So I don't know, hope that helps you. Something to think about. But I think there, like you said, there's great opportunity inland mountains. And if you're looking to purchase real estate or purchase a property, you're going to be paying a fraction of the cost as opposed to trying to buy a property here on Negril Beach. So that's also, I think, a competitive advantage. Priscilla says, a great example of inland I recently discovered Tafara Organic from Farm in Retreat. Definitely great getaway above Negril. The Gardeners Club is a definite great environment. Yeah, and I think another example like I feel like that's a great example, kind of plays right into what I'm talking about here. Farm to table, I think that's a good one. That's like a good healthy ideology and something to bring to the market. I'm thinking about specifically Zimbali Retreat. I always talk about them. One of my favorite places to go. I'm actually going to show their website. And this is an example of that I always I think completely in line with what you're saying here. Let's see if we can get it. Okay, this is the Bali retreat, and it's about 40-45 minutes from Negril, and it is like such an oasis. Like it really, really is an oasis. And let's see if we can get some pictures up here. And they have one of the main attractions, I would say, is their farm to table experience, and you literally get a tour of their farm on the property, and then you come back to the main building, and they prepare like a very extremely fresh, ready to go meal right on the spot. Let's see if we can get some. I want to show you guys some pictures here. But really, really beautiful place here. I've never stayed there. I've only gone there for dinner and lunch, but it feels like you're in a different world because and I don't know if you can kind of see it here, but it is in the mountains and you're very much in the trees and in the forest, so to speak. Beautiful, beautiful mountain view. And as I mentioned before, like something like this is a place to definitely go reset and just kind of get your mind right sort of thing. And there's a magic to it without it like in my opinion, like there is without a doubt like a magic to this place. And if you're in Negril, I would definitely encourage you to check it out and experience it, whether you stay there or you go there for lunch or for dinner. You got to make reservations. You don't want to just show up. So you give them a call, reach out to them. But really, really, I think it's like a real special, super special place. And yeah, I see some people talk about Mark. Mark from Zabali said he watches the show. Yeah, Mark is a great supporter of this show, and I appreciate him. He's a great supporter of Negril in general. All right, let's I see Throp, I need a link to landscape architect you had on Throp X panel. You're talking about Mark Martin. Let me see if I can. If you can DM me on Instagram and I'll shoot you over. I don't want to put his contact information out here, but if you can shoot me a DM and I will pass over his contact information. I just found his LinkedIn, which is public, so I'm just going to throw that in the comments there. So check that out. For now, if you don't link me on IG. Okay, let's get into the meat of the matter today, which is our discussion on productivity. So this is actually it's a 9-minute video, but I will read the post, and this is coming from the Prime Minister's Instagram, Prime Minister's Twitter or X page, and I'll read his caption, and then we can watch the video. Productivity is a word I like to us to embrace as one of the most critical ways to move forward and deliver for our people. Productivity is not a word we should be afraid of. Sorry, let me just bring it up so you can see it. Productivity is not a word that we should be afraid of, and it's not a request to work harder, but rather a call to work smarter and more efficiently so that we can get more things done more quickly. Stephen Whittingham, Deputy CEO of Grace Kennedy Financial Group, reminded us at the JSE Regional, that's Jamaica Stock Exchange Regional Conference recently, of the ills of low productivity and that we have what it takes to break this cycle. So let me know if you can hear. We're going to go right into the video. Hopefully I can make this. Nope, that's not what I meant to do. All right, let's.
In preparing my remarks for this evening, my thoughts kept returning to the critical issue of productivity. Jamaica's challenges with low levels of productivity are not new. For most of our post-independence history, the Jamaican economy has struggled with low levels of productivity, which has
Can everybody hear? I just want to make sure we've had this problem before. Just let me make sure. I just want to make sure that everybody can hear. Let me know if you have an issue hearing.
Relentlessly undermined our efforts to achieve significant growth. Professor David Tennant from the University of the West Indies prepared a report. It was entitled Development of a Framework and Roadmap to Drive Productivity in the Public and Private Sectors in Jamaica. Final Global Best Practice Report, Gap Analysis and Recommendations. And if you think the title is long, you should have just imagined how long the report itself is. But on a serious note, though, the report is extensive, and after my review, it led me to the inescapable conclusion that Jamaica is actually suffering from a productivity crisis. So productivity is simply the relationship between the output and the inputs that are required to generate that output. And the most common measure of productivity that we use is labor productivity, which refers to the output or the value added per worker or per hours worked. And labor productivity is really important because it impacts everything from customer service to manufacturing efficiency to the public sector. It is central to the success of any economy. So why is it that I say that Jamaica has a productivity crisis? Well, I'll share a few excerpts from Professor Tennant's report, and you can decide for yourself. It says that productivity in Jamaica declined in the early 70s, in the mid 1980s, and then throughout the 90s. You're talking about a 30-year span. Second point I want to make from his report, Jamaica's annual labor productivity growth for the period 2001 to 2022 has been predominantly negative. It was decreasing at an average rate of 0.9% since 2001. So even we've been less productive every year on average for the past, say, 20 years. Jamaica has the lowest GDP per person employed in 2021 relative to the other countries in his study. Let's not get into who was in the study. But what was also important was that when you looked at how we compared, our GDP was compared to the next lowest company, it was almost twice our level of productivity. So even compared to peers of ours, we were having a challenge. And Jamaica was the only country in the group for which the GDP per person employed in 2021 was lower than in 2000. Okay, so these are some challenging statistics to hear. Professor Tennant, last one I'll share. Low and declining productivity in Jamaica was ubiquitous across sectors, which means that For all of the economy, when you looked at 8 of the 12 sectors, we found that there were challenges with productivity, which means that it wasn't industry specific. It means we have a challenge. So I appreciate.
So I just want to pause it there and just kind of appreciate a few elements of what Mr. Whittingham just said based on the report on Jamaica's productivity. So essentially, for the last 30 years, Jamaica has been from per, as he said, per person per GDP has been declining. And so essentially what he is saying is that we as a society are have become less and less productive per capita. And that is a very, to me it's like very dangerous thing. I didn't know this, like, even as I mentioned before, if you've been on here before and if you were part of our discussions on productivity, and a lot of it comes because I know a lot of that discussion comes in to when we speak about wages, right? And what the report is saying that it's like how it's measured is like the inputs of what somebody's doing, a company, an individual, compared to what they're outputting and what is being created, and I try not to use the word production, but what is produced is just becoming lower and lower. And so what I hear with this is like, we're becoming, for the most part, like, or we have become less and less efficient and effective on a per capita basis. And it's just like crazy to think, and you can see it in like different ways, right? And so I'll speak from the industry that I know in hospitality, and maybe even like people in America, like in more modern countries can relate as well when you talk about like younger people and generation, what is it, Z or Y or whatever they are just not as productive and don't want to work and that sort of thing. And it's one of those things that kind of validates some of the experiences that we're having in the hospitality industry in respect to finding good, strong, high work ethic individuals coming into the industry. And it's just been this very prominent experience across the board. It doesn't matter what size hotel you are. It doesn't matter how many years in business that you've been in. It's a very rife experience that we're having right now. And and speaking with my brothers about it, and other hoteliers too as well, it has very much been perpetuated by the pandemic. And I think that really disproportionately hurt us as an industry and as a country when you compare us to, say, countries like the United States. And I know they are having their own challenges post pandemic, but it's like one of those things that, like, it makes it that much harder to be an entrepreneur and to run businesses because of the level of productivity is just, and it's validating like the real experience that we're having here. And I always say it's just like, we're one little business, we're one little industry. Like, it's important to extrapolate that out. And and I think he's going to get into it, I can't remember, but like, even as we talk about, like, I think I did 2 posts ago, I was talking about the how much bad customer service is hurting Jamaica from an economic standpoint. Obviously, from an experience standpoint, whether we go to a restaurant or hotel, whatever it is, and we have a poor experience because an individual or a business is just very poor in its services and the product that they're offering to the public, or at least of the aspect in which you have experienced it. It's just like, think about that across the board in terms of like how much that hurts the economy and how much that hurts Jamaica. Because there will be people who will come here and experience something like that and say, I'm never coming back to Jamaica. Or maybe it's a local person will go to XYZ restaurant and say, I'm never going back to that restaurant. And it's very easy to blame that individual, right? It's very easy to blame that business. But I think as we continue to watch this video, it's like so important that we go much further upstream and ask ourselves and or at least get to the bottom line as to why this has happened and where did this go wrong. And I won't say anything. Let's watch the video and we'll kind of I'll share my conclusions. But I just wanted to pause the video to really have us understand how detrimental this is to our society. And I know we talk about like, hey, we want these roads, we want these modern amenities and this and that, but it this stuff is at the for the most part is going to be produced by us Jamaicans, the people. Like, and so there needs to be a high level of focus on that of the people. And in my mind, it's like, how do we make individuals more productive, right? And how do we give them the opportunity to bring more to the table and more to the market on a per capita basis? And this is like the question of the century. It really, really, really is. And it's what it comes down to, because the country can't move forward without people, and the the efficiency, the work ethic, obviously generalizing the character of the individuals, like all of this plays into how productive we are as a society. How quickly do we move forward in making and reaching our full potential as a country and as an economy? And it really does come down to the productivity of the individual. And it's when you think about it, it's a lot to think about. It's a lot to take on. It's we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people, maybe even in the millions when you're talking about specifically the workforce. But then when you bring into, again, going further upstream, when you bring in the children, the kids, the teenagers, the adolescents into that, it it widens that net so much more, so much more. So anyway, let's continue the video, and we'll continue to have a discussion after.
And the master ceremonies said I was coming up here to offer solutions. But I appreciate that what I've shared is a lot to take in, and possibly might be a little depressing, but that's not why I've raised it, right? Because it is my hope that this discussion that we renew today will inspire optimism and a belief that we can overcome this challenge. And whenever it comes to Jamaica, I never give up hope. Our beloved country is such an enigma. Little Jamaica has produced the greatest musicians, the fastest athletes, and has a global reputation that in no way correlates to the relative size of our country. Jamaica produced the #1 ranked stock exchange, the best performing stock exchange globally, according to Bloomberg, not once, but twice, 2015 and 2018, during which the same period I just told you, we experienced declining productivity. During that same period of declining productivity, Jamaica achieved one of the most remarkable economic turnarounds, from proxy defaults and multiple rounds of debt restructurings and the country standing on the brink to becoming a shining global example of fiscal discipline. So on paper, just doesn't make sense. Something isn't adding up. But what cannot be put on paper is the soul of our people and the strength of the institutions we create when we collaborate. If this is what we are able to achieve with so little, can you imagine what we could do with so much more? Jamaica's economy and society.
So I'll pause it right there again, real quick. So I will say and acknowledge, like, I think on many aspects and many different levels, like Jamaica punches way, 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 way above its weight, like disproportionately. Like some things just don't even make sense. And he's listed some good examples in sports, music, our food, our culture, mostly cultural and sports aspects. And to me, it's like I was going to bring in like a negative aspect of it too, but I mean, I would even say unfortunately in scamming as well, and but it's just one of those things of like, how do we channel though that type of focus energy into elements that make us just more productive as a society, right? And how do we get our music? And there's a way. I mean, because in order for you to be the world's best at anything, there is something in you. There's some dedication, there's some work ethic in you that's innate that allows you to apply your mind, to focus in, to quiet the noise, to push everything else out the way in order for you to completely focus on this singular task to become world class at, and we've done it again in multiple genres and multiple markets. And so how do we take that sort of focus, because again I believe it's the same thing, like how do we take it and put it towards science, how do we put it towards technology, how do we put it towards these things that will help grow the economy more exponentially than in specifying it in sports or in music more than anything else. And again, I truly believe we are having a disproportionate impact on the world compared to the size of our island and also the population of our people. And so to me, it's like that tells me the potential is there. It really, really, really is there. And it's like, how do we harness this in a meaningful way, in a very, very meaningful way. And again, I'm trying to hold off any conclusive statements that I have here. So let's continue.
Have been plagued with inequality of opportunity. For many, access to capital, to participate in wealth creation and other indices of the formal economy have been limited. One way to address this issue, and also, by the way, the issue of productivity, is with a vested labor force. So hear me. The new board member and a company's banker stepped carelessly over a sanitary footbath on an introductory tour of a listed manufacturing company. I'm sure the Prime Minister does these once a week. And all the voice said, "Wait, you can't do that." It was looked around. There was a man covered in dust watching, and he said, "You might bring infection into the plant." And he proudly said, "I'm a shareholder of this company." You see that story? It was rare decades ago, more common now, but it's not prevalent enough. The Jamaica Stock Exchange is a premier institution to foster inclusion, engagement, and good returns for our people.
So before he goes into that, I'll let him finish up on that. But I want to harp on one of the elements that he's talking about, which essentially is the resources, and that is what's lacking. Essentially, is the resources to promote and push forward this higher level of productivity on a per capita basis. And it's just like right across the board. I will always, 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 always go back to education. And I don't think we can invest enough in education. And that's an easy word to just throw out there. And because I know when maybe it's just me, but like when I say education, a lot of people think schools, but it's just more than that. Like, yes, it's this physical infrastructure of schools. It's providing the resources in the school to give our children and students a competitive, I wouldn't even say advantage, but a competitive chance in this highly competitive world that we live in today. Same thing with the teachers as well. And even educating them and bringing them up to and we have great teachers, don't mind you, we have great, great, great teachers, but giving them the opportunity and also the tools that they need to be even better teachers. I always talk about the split school schedule that we have here in some of our schools in Westmoreland and in Hanover, where again you just do like the simple math of how many hours our kids, our students on average are spending in school compared to that of other islands, other first world nations, and we're a globalized economy. So we have to think like we're not just competing in the region with DR, Trinidad, like we're competing against Florida, New York, California, Shenzhen, Portugal, wherever, and that is the world that we're living in. It's just like, are we giving our students and are we giving our kids a remote chance at competing at this global level? And in many respects, like the answer is no. And going back to that one statistic, and the one thing that we can look at is just like how many hours, like, because I want to be like clear on this. So there are schools out here that are so overcrowded that the students can't go to school for the entire day. So they only go to school for half the day. And let's be clear, like this is happening like even right now. Like it's crazy that's the situation. And it's almost like it's become accepted that this is okay, like it's better than nothing, which it is. I agree, it's better than nothing having no school, but there needs to be a path to where our students go to school full time as full-time students. And like this is an element of when I think of like we need the resources, we need the investment. And it's like, what do we think is going to happen? What do we think is going to happen if our portion of our student population is only going to school for half the actual time that they're supposed to be going to school? Mind you, they're also still facing the same exact challenges that the students who are going to school double the amount of time that they compare to them in their communities, in their families, and different temptations, different poor influences. And then you couple that with cutting the amount of time that they're going to school. Like, of course, we're going to be less productive. I mean, on that element alone, on that statistic alone. And it should be like, how do we get our students to go into school for longer? How do we get them? Obviously, we want that to be an effective use of time, but having students in school longer is going to keep them out of trouble. It's like the devil loves idle hands, and you're giving students more of an opportunity to have more idle time. And so, like, this is what I think. And when I think of investing in students, investing in education, and same thing with extracurricular activities that happen outside of school. And I can speak to this from my experience, particularly with my family's nonprofit organization, the Negril Education Environment Trust. And we have our Saturday programs. And you see, you very going to be careful of how I say this, but you see very directly, and this is only, and I don't spend nearly as much time as I used to in this program, admittedly, but I do sometimes go up there and spend some time up there. We have them here. We have these classes on Saturday here at Travelers Beach Resort. But even in speaking with the teachers and who are actually doing it, who are part of this program, you see the challenges that are facing our teachers with these students because of the communities that they come from and the families that they come from. And don't get me wrong, we have our stars. We have our stars that are doing exceptionally well, that are in spite of the challenges that they are facing as young people and as students, they still rise above it all. But then there are so many more that you have behavioral issues. You have students that are falling asleep in class. And this is something that we're trying to give back to them, to give them a better future and give them better opportunities. And they're just not taking it seriously because, again, the challenges that they're facing at home, the challenges that they're facing in their communities. And all these things need to be addressed, because when you look at them turning into adults and becoming hopefully productive working members of society, they're just not where they need to be. Essentially, they're just not where they need to be. And so resources. We need it. And let's continue with the video.
Open to all, even those with limited funds to invest, listing and trading on the Jamaica Stock Exchange has become a major stimulant of enterprise for businesses and individuals traditionally shut out of capital sources. This is an achievement of great significance in our aspirational journey as a country from a developing nation to a developed nation. The JSE is playing its role in facilitating a stronger economy, a higher standard of living for our people, building out advanced infrastructure, and supporting environmental sustainability. The inspiration of employee share ownership, improving corporate prospects through engagement. The brilliance of the Jamaica junior stock market, continuously inspiring entrepreneurship. The promise of the social stock exchange and the ambition of the new green, sustainable linked bond market. That's a bit of a tongue twister, Marlene. Those all reduce the rough edges of the markets for good purpose. The Jamaica Stock Exchange has evolved from a narrow trading platform where the shuffling of investments by the established few took place. It has added over 127,000 JCSD accounts over the last 5 years, bringing the total market participants to over 330,000. Now, today, the JSE is a dynamic facility for wealth creation, investor stimulation, sound management practices at more and more small businesses, and the prosperity of a widening swath of ordinary Jamaicans. This progression that we are all witnessing firsthand knows no terminus. This conference is intended to sharpen our focus and ignite more enthusiasm, and trust. Trust is achieved if we constantly improve our market services through transparent customer relations and more extensive public education around how the stock exchange works and how it can enhance commerce and personal fortunes. Enthusiasm, fostered by the relentless ambition and the acquisitiveness of the populace, finding an outlet and profit on the JSE trading floor, from schoolers to retirees, from people with a partner draw to the dreamers in the diaspora, enamored by members of YAD. So, Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, the Jamaica Stock Exchange continues to promote and position itself as an indispensable partner in achieving this nation's economic objectives. Our zeal is to bring the benefits of orderly access to capital and the rewards from equity participation to a critical mass of Jamaicans. This, I am convinced, will help our country navigate through its productivity crisis by tackling the binding constraints identified to productivity, by reducing inequality, and with it, the incentives for crime and corruption, by increasing people's sense of belonging, and with it, their motivation to actively participate and to innovate, and by showing people, at long last, the transformative benefits of economic growth and the true value of the education and skill development that are required to achieve it.
All right. And that's the end of that. So I will say, and to close off the video, so to speak, I think it's important that we have a very strong and robust stock exchange. And as he mentioned before, we were for 2 years, we were the highest performing stock exchange named by Bloomberg for twice. And again, that says a lot about to be the highest performing stock exchange in the entire world, recognized by one of the leading financial publications in the world. It's crazy. It's crazy, and it's not something to be taken lightly at all. And we need to continue to foster what it took to get to that point, and also to support it. And I think it's, again, a great opportunity, as he was alluding to in his closing remarks there, to get more people, more Jamaicans into the stock market and into a buy-in of their leading companies, but also their country as well. And I think it's just like a very, very important move and an important element to the economy in Jamaica. All right, let's get to some comments here. I've saved a bunch. Low and grow invest community. Even that number of over 300,000 JCSD accounts need to be put into context. When you look at the market, you don't see that translated. You are the expert at that. I do not claim to even have any idea, clue, or comments on that, but I hear you on that. Okay, let's get up to some earlier comments. Jamaica says Jamaica needs to lower the cost of production for business, allowing them to invest more in equipment, research, and expansion, ultimately leading to increased output per unit of input, cheap energy. So you took the words out of my mouth. This is one of, I believe, in terms of like focusing on productivity, I think this is like the most important element of this entire argument, entire thought exercise, whatever you want to call it, is lowering the cost of energy. And it's like, that needs to be figured out, because that is the cornerstone of like everything else. And it's going to continue to be extremely, extremely difficult to really move at a pace in which we would all like to see Jamaica move at, without lowering the cost of energy, because it makes everything else so expensive. And again, remember, we are one of, if not one of the highest per kilowatt hour charge cost for electricity in the entire world. Like lucky us, right? And so what does that mean? That means that anything that you do in Jamaica is going to cost you exponentially more than it would anywhere in the world. And so you have to hit one or the other side of the equation. You have to hit on the expense side or you have to hit on the income side. So if we can't lower the expense of the cost of doing business, that means we have to somehow make so much more money that we mitigate the cost of actually doing business, the cost of like just living, right? And so in order to do that, we have to charge higher and more premium prices. But in order to do that, we have to have a higher, more premium product. Very, very important. In order to have a higher, more premium product, we have to invest more. We have to be more competitive. We have to have the best amenities. We have to have the best service. We have to be cutting edge in what we're offering in our product. And so it's a very vicious, vicious cycle to continue down the path. Some businesses have maybe figured it out, but still that's just business. But now like let's look into the um the quality of life, I would say, for even like the average Jamaican. And I know more, I would venture to guess, this is just my guess. If anybody has anything to say about it or want to correct me on this, my guess is that most Jamaican households do not have air conditioning and most households are fan cooled, right? Because it's so freaking expensive to run an AC. And what does that do, right? If you don't, and Jamaica is obviously a very warm country 12 months out of the year. And just being, especially during the summer months, your productivity is going to go down. If you're hot and sweaty and the fan is blowing hot air on you, the only thing you want to do is chill. And I get that. You want to go to the river. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you want to go down and try to figure out this quantum equation and spend hours at it because you're in this comfort. But like, I'm obviously exaggerating and being a little bit facetious there, but you get what I'm saying. It's just like, imagine, and I'm like juxtaposing this to say Thailand, right? Where everywhere you go is, I don't know what their cost of per kilowatt hour is there. I have no idea. But I'm sure it's far cheaper than it is here. And everywhere you go, it's AC, their malls, their offices, their schools, their hotels, obviously, restaurants, everything is AC'd. And again, from a productivity standpoint, you're going to be more comfortable as a human being in those types of environments. You're going to work longer. It's one thing to like push forward doing a very uncomfortable situation and get your work done, do your homework or whatever it is. But a lot of people, not everybody will have that mindset. Not everybody will be able to work under those conditions in a sustainable, consistent, long term way. And again, that is going to shrink the productivity exponentially across the board because and it sounds so simple, like no AC, like we say, it's like this luxury. And it should be a situation where it is just like the norm. And you come home and you're able, and if you want, as an entrepreneur, for example, if you want to work your long hours into the night, you're you're not scared of like only having one light on. You can have an efficient amount of light so you can work on your computer and work on this business that you've been dreaming of putting out. But now that you have to worry about the cost and you're in an uncomfortable environment, again, it's a simple example, but I think it speaks a lot to the productivity of output of the individual. And you can go into like so many different elements of like the cost of gas as well. And you're just going to think twice about driving that extra mile to go to that co-working space that's charging you X amount of dollars per month more than you would charge in another market, because again, the electricity cost is so much more, and on and on and on and on. Same thing with schools. Let's bring it back to schools, right? And the kids in Thailand, one, they're going to school all day, as I mentioned before. Two, they are in a learning environment that is conducive to helping them as a child individual reach their full potential. And whereas like if the kid is in some here in Jamaica, if the kid is in summer school in July or even in June in the hotter months finishing out the semester, it's just a very, very uncomfortable learning environment to be in. And yes, that's traditionally what it has been. um, over human existence and the existence of Jamaica, and there are many great Jamaicans who have come out of this system. However, when we are looking at competing on a global standpoint, and we are looking at competing with academically and in the professional world with other countries, it's just like they have so many more advantages to us than we do here because of the fundamentals of our situation. And, what's the solution, right? How do we get ACs in school? Like, I mean, that is just so far down the line. I think, there and just like I don't know not only where the money would come from for the initial capital investment to get ACs in these classrooms, make the classroom efficient and put in the windows that's needed because you can't really have louver windows, but then the sustainability of that, right? And it's just so far off. I don't know if anybody has any solution to that. I just don't in terms of, like, something in the medium to short term. That seems like so way down the line, and as much as, like, I've just talked about and give that as an example, to me, it's like, we need to focus on the kids and, like, getting their excuse me, getting them more educated in terms of spending more hours in school, at least in this region, and making sure that the curriculum that is being taught is a competitive one as much as possible. But I know I went on and on, but it just speaks to the importance of solving the energy problem that Jamaica has right now. And I don't know of, and if anybody knows, I don't know of any exact solutions that are on board or coming on stream to address this. But long term, it has to be that. Like it really does have to be that. And when I say long term, like within 20 years, like we really need to figure this out. We really need to figure this out as a country and as a nation. It's like, how do we overcome this high energy cost? Or is it going to be something on the other side where as a country, we are, and like this honestly seems more of a reasonable route. Sadly to say, like as a country, we're just gonna make so much freaking money somehow, some way that paying this high cost of electricity, high cost of energy is gonna be nothing to us. Anyway, just my thoughts. Let's keep moving here. Harn Robinson says less efficient on a per capita basis. This has been happening for the past 30 to 50 years. This is a testament to the lack of leadership in our leaders, not only the respect of government, PSOJ, etc. TDC consultants. I guess the bigger question is how are we defining productivity? I think he said it. Mr. Whittingham said it. Is just it's based on uh, the labor. It was in the labor report that was put out. Natural Yard says, is it that Jamaica is very top heavy, just a handful of people reaping the rewards from productivity? I mean, I don't think so. I mean, who knows? I mean, there is a there is a wealth disparity here in Jamaica. I mean, nothing close to what's happening in the US, when you took it like the top 1% of the 1% compared to that of, even medium income households. But could be. I don't know. It could be. I'm unsure. Learn, Grow, Invest says it was bad before social media made it worse. Agreed. Claudine, what's up, Claudine? This is so true. Even on the most basic level, can't even find an independent contractor to finish up work. When I do find someone, they don't show up consistently, like I'm begging them to work. Speaks to our productivity. Like it really does. It's like where and we all, I'm sure, have some experience of this nature of just incredibly unprofessional workmanship. And this example of just like persons not even willing to show up or do what they said. Crazy, crazy all the time. But it speaks to the work ethic. It speaks to the work culture. It speaks to the productivity of a nation. And they don't realize that, they're just like focused on whatever it is that they're focused on in the moment, and they don't understand that this affects so many other elements of life in Jamaica. This one person, who decides that, yeah, I'm supposed to have these wood frames for your house that you're supposed to move into in 3 months. I'm supposed to have it done by Tuesday, but you're not going to get them for another 6 weeks. And it's just like there are just so many problems that cause us, right? And again, extrapolate that out. Mo says, well, the tops have money and the bottom pays for it. So there's that. I think you're kind of getting my gist. I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that, but I get what you're saying, Mo. I get what you're saying. Justin D says, building the roads will help with productivity, getting goods to market and moving supply is the key to any economy. Absolutely agree with that. I think it'll so many great things with having good roads. You're spending less time on the roads. There's going to be less breakdowns because of the potholes in terms of um, blown out tires, broken rims, and less fatalities, and that also comes with a societal consequences of somebody losing a family member unexpectedly to a tragedy of that nature. And so yes, absolutely, having better and good roads will without question increase the productivity of any nation, of any economy, no questions asked. As I was reading that statement, I think back to like the first time I went to South Africa. And again, forgive my ignorance, I was expecting like National Geographic Africa, and the ride from the airport to the hotel that we were staying at, just completely blown away, completely impressed by how good their roads were, not just the highways, but even the side streets that we were going down. And it was amazing to see, and I could only imagine what it was. What I don't know when they did that, but it seemed fairly new, or it's extremely well maintained if it's not fairly new. And I remember even driving, I took an Uber from one part of South Africa to like one town to another. It's like a 45-minute drive on the highway at night, as a matter of fact. Extremely well lit, road amazing, highways amazing. And I was like, damn, I was like, why don't we have this? Why don't we have this? And I'm sure I know there's a lot more elements, nuance elements to as to why they have that. And and trust me, Africa, if we want to talk about energy problems, South Africa has the craziest situation. And we talked about like their load management with their electricity system. Like literally, they have brownouts daily scheduled on an app, and not dogging them or anything like that. But that's just the reality of living in South Africa, which I'm so happy we don't have those sort of challenges. But they, as a society and people, have figured out a way to somewhat live with it. Nonetheless, my point remains is that they have amazing roads, and I know that has helped with their economy in big ways. Natural Yard says, was in Jamaica last summer and had plumbing issues. The condo owner went through 4 different plumbers to get results, ruined 3 days of our vacation. Great example. Another great example. This is like how many other people have experienced that not only on their vacation but day to day, and it's just like a regular thing, and it's just productivity. It comes down to productivity, and yes, it's the work ethic of the individual without question. But man, really sad, really unfortunate. But it's just one of those things. And Robinson, whereas there is no leadership, the people will perish. And yeah, we haven't. I mean, it's it does come down to leadership. A big part of it. A big part of it comes down to leadership, how they lead, examples that are set, programs that are put in place, sacrifices that are made. And I don't think we're no, I don't think we're going through a period of austerity now, but perhaps like that's what we need at some point, some sort of a sacrifice to move things forward. But it's politically a very difficult thing to come to agreement of. Uh, it could be looked at as political suicide. It could be looked at as like you're giving up your term. And I'm speaking from the highest level of leadership in the country of, hey, it's like, look, hey, we're gonna tighten our belts for the next 5 years, and we're not gonna do any of this, no road improvements, no this and no that, because we have to. And I don't think we need to do that. To be honest, like when I think about like where we are trending with our debt to GDP ratio, perhaps we've gotten to a place where we don't need to put these crazy measures in place to make a sacrifice. But nonetheless, like as we look forward, it's just like I think just having again a focus on productivity and a focus on making this a priority number one. And there's like a lot of different inputs that come with that. We talked about energy earlier. I think that will hopefully change the trajectory that we're on right now of being in this 30-year loop of becoming less and less productive year over year. Janice Morris says, "Let him tell us how sports music or our popularity contributes to GDP." I hear you. I know what you're saying there, but when I hear that, yes, it does. I think that it does help being top in these things, like especially sports. Like people get curious. People want to see where Usain Bolt grew up and why he's why what made him the fastest man in the world. And when you look at what Kashane is doing and Grand Slam track coming in April, like there is a lot of economic activity that has been created through our through excelling in sports, like without question. It puts Jamaica on the map consistently in so many conversations, and it just maybe in some people's head it like plants a seed when they're 18. Hey, I want to go to Jamaica because I saw this race, or I went to this race in Florida and I saw so and so perform. And then when they turn 30 or 35, finally I made it to Jamaica, and it was just like this seed planted. So it's hard to calculate that, but I do think it does have a positive effect on our country and on the economy, and does create opportunities. Again, Grand Slam track, this is a league that has never happened before, and I'm not sure if you're familiar, but it's basically this league that's created by Michael Johnson that is debuting in April here in Jamaica at the National Stadium, and it's these one-on-one races, and it has the top sprinters and athletes in the world. And Michael Johnson said, "There's no better place to do this and start this league than in Jamaica." And I think it's amazing, and it's so fitting. It's where else would they do it? Where else would they start this? I mean, they could have done it anyway, to be honest. But I think it just says a lot about what we bring to the table as a country. And so, anyway, I do think that these elements do contribute to the GDP in some way. And I think the more important factor, again, is the underlying aspects of what it took us to get to this point. It just shows me that we have greatness within us, without question. We have greatness within us. We just need to apply it to other elements of our society and other elements of the market. Only me Muck says, "You're hitting on lots of points for me. Why decide to look elsewhere to retire for now until things change? Where can I find this listen to later?" It's on Twitter on the Prime Minister's account. No, I get what you're saying. Like, I was just responding to some comments today on the Jamaica Stock Exchange interview that I did, and one of them was this. Oops, one of them was this. What this gentleman was talking about where he lives is. I don't want to blow up his spot. I was going to bring it up, but basically, where he lives, it's like he has great roads, great schools, basketball, tennis court. Doesn't have the dust that's there. That's in. I think he was like Fairview or something like that in Montego Bay, and I was like, I get it, and it's like it sounds like you live in a utopia kind of thing, and I'm sure, like everywhere else, anywhere in the world has its positives and negatives, which he obviously didn't bring up. And I'm sure he has, there are challenges in his community, his state, wherever it is that he faces on day to day that he doesn't necessarily like and enjoy. And as I always say, and as I said in the interview, the Jamaica Stock Exchange, it's like you got to make the decision for you, whether you want to invest here, whether you want to move here, want to retire here. It's a very individualistic decision. And as much as and going back to, I think it was 2 live streams ago when I was talking about my trip to Bali, Bali is not for me. Straight up, it's just not for me. People have fallen in love with it. They do their eat, pray, love thing over there. They love all these different elements of Bali. I did not have an experience in going there for the first time that aligned with my personality and who I am and what I'm looking for at that time, what I was looking for in a vacation and having an authentic travel experience. And so for me, based on what I'm looking for and my expectations, my personality, my character, that's not for me. Maybe if I go to another part I will enjoy it. And that was my experience. And then same thing with you. There are certain elements of Jamaica that don't meet your standards or that you are uncomfortable with, and you are deciding to move elsewhere. And that's fine. That's totally, totally fine. I think where I take, if I were to have an issue with somebody, would be on the more so on the investment standpoint, right? And this is where I will argue, and this is where a hill that I will die on, so to speak. And when people talk about Jamaica being a bad investment, or I will never invest there, the crime, the roads, the this, and like, I get it, I understand, but to say it's a bad investment, to say that to me, if like saying a bad investment is something that you're going to lose money on. A bad investment is something that you are that is not necessarily going to meet your expectations of having a positive outcome. And time again, and example after example again, we have seen and I have shown you that Jamaica is actually a great investment and has been a phenomenal investment for many, many, many people. And I believe this will continue to happen. And as much and as many challenges that we have as a society and as a country, from an investment standpoint, you have to look, I would think, as a savvy investor, and hopefully we all and you all are savvy investors, you look at it as more of an opportunity. Because if this were a mature market and we were living in a quote unquote Jamaican utopia, you'd be paying Jamaican utopia prices and you'd be paying top dollar, top tier prices. And so I say investing in Jamaica in a time period that we are now, that I truly believe we are going through a renaissance. And in doing so now during this time period, like you're accomplishing two things. One is you're you're getting in, I won't even say ground level because we are definitely above ground level at this point, but you're getting in at a relatively affordable level. And that's again, if you believe that Jamaica will continue to do good, Jamaica will continue to go on this trajectory that we are on and continue to progress financially, economically, socially, structurally, everything under the umbrella of a progressive forward moving country, right? That's if you believe that, which I do. And so that you get that element. The other thing that you get by investing in this time period and doing it now is that you are part of the renaissance. You are part of moving this country forward. You are part of helping move the economy forward. You're part of helping grow Jamaica and whatever, and that could be and look like whatever for you. And that could be retiring here. That could be buying a home. It could be buying an Airbnb, starting a business, coming here and joining a nonprofit organization or starting a nonprofit organization, whatever have you. And as I said in the interview that I did with the Jamaica Stock Exchange, I truly believe it's going to be Jamaicans that are going to really help Jamaica reach its full potential. And as much as we have all this foreign direct investment coming into Jamaica by various different nations, by various different multinational companies, and we're talking about billions with a B of US dollars coming into Jamaica right now, at the end of the day, like this is great. I think it's a great opportunity. I think it's going to help us move forward as a country. But at the end of the day, it is going to be us. And I think it should be us. And I think it's something that we need to, again, especially the diaspora, it's like something to take into high consideration is to be a part of this. And when I see these multinational companies, I see these different entrepreneurs from different nations around the world see the potential in us and see the potential in Jamaica, so much so that they're willing to bet and risk hundreds of millions of US dollars in some cases. And then I see us who are just many people in the comments, which again, I get and I understand, says, I will never do that. I will never invest in Jamaica. Jamaica is a lost cause. Jamaica is a bad investment. I'm just like, all right, do your thing. Just literally just please stay on the sideline and watch us work. Watch us do what you said couldn't be done because we are doing it without question. We are doing it. And so I don't mean that to say this to chastise anybody, but I just hope that you are able to look at what is happening as objectively as possible and that you don't shoot yourself in the foot and missing out on what I think is an incredible opportunity at this time. And again, these opportunities exist in many elements, many different markets throughout Jamaica. All right. Just as productivity comes from management in Jamaica, most streets have no addresses, poor postal systems, too much emphasis on easy money from tourism, where capital comes in and leaves, lack of labor laws. Yep. I mean, there's agreed. There's a lot of elements, fundamental elements of society that are missing from here that will make things a lot easier and just make sense. The grill doesn't have a postal office. Crazy. Like, it's just insane. We don't have a post office. It's like certain things are just like unacceptable, and there's many reasons why this has been allowed. We'll go back to the grill not having any sort of central leadership, but I hear you, Jeff. Like, that's no argument there. Like, we need some of these basic systems in place. Justin says, elites prefer the uneducated. Ask that guy, what's his name? The one who talks a lot. He also likes the poorly educated. I'm not sure who you're talking about there. If you can clarify, Justin. TDC Consultant says, but generally healthy spiritual, emotional, and physical communities foster great productivity. Also, can we look at productivity as qualitative work as opposed to number crunching? I think it's both. I think it's both because, like, I think there's certain elements of certain industries that you can have like high quantitative analysis, right? Like, how many, this is an example, like how many widgets can an individual produce, right? And again, very simple example. If we have one person on average that can produce 5 widgets per day, but if we were able to educate them and train them to produce more widgets, and they're able to produce 10 widgets per day, and we extrapolate that out to 100 factory workers, we're doubling output. We're doubling revenue, growth, top line revenue. And to me, you do something like that, hopefully that means that we're doubling output, we're doubling revenue. That means that people can get paid more. So our productivity is going up. The efficiency, like, we don't have to hire 2 workers to get to 10 widget output. We can do that, train that one worker to do 10, and then hire more workers, give them more money. And like, so this is how I think of it from a quantitative basis in terms of like, how do we make somebody more productive per capita, increase our productivity per capita. Sorry, got that one already. Only Me says, wow, I wasn't aware the school system was so overwhelmed. An educated population, children and adults will help with increased productivity. The world has changed and it's changing rapidly. Jamaica says, competition is needed in Jamaica's energy sector to drive productivity and growth. We need to break the monopoly that JPS has in the country. A company like JPS don't like competing for losers. Yeah, I agree. We need to figure out the energy situation that we have here. Hannah Robinson says, what adds up is this: when the stock market does well in small economies like Jamaica, it's absorbed the capital from the rest of the economy. What we need is broader diversification in markets. Sherry Case says, we need to keep our good talent here on the island, increase manufacturing, increase pay scale, provide more skill training. Young people seem to want to be social media influencers. Yeah, tell me about it. Marlon RM says, Jamaica's dominance in sprinting, for example, isn't just about raw talent. It's about the system, the coaching, and the culture of excellence that maximizes potential. Well said. And that's exactly what I mean when I talk about what it takes to be great at one thing. Like, it's definitely a system of support. It's, yes, very much so the focus of the individual, but it's a whole system. That's what of culture. When you even look at, this was like years ago, I was listening to this podcast on the Kenyan runners, and they were trying to study. Like, why are they so dominant in long distance running, like across the board, in the under 20, in the marathon, 10,000 meters, cross country, whatever have you. Um, these athletes are just completely dominating that element of the sport. And what they found, and what this study found, it's culture. It is culture, culture, culture. And I think the saying goes, what is it? Man, I'm gonna butcher this. Like culture beats. Oh yeah, culture beats strategy any day of the week, and that's so true. And that speaking, that's in context of company culture, but I think that is global, almost for anything. It's just like the culture will beat talent. The culture will beat systems. The culture will beat technological advances, and it's so true. It's so true. And even you look at Jamaica and I personally think, when I visited some of these training facilities that some of our sprinters have come out of, it's like the minimal of the minimal. Some of them are grass tracks that are so muddy. Some of them, the chevron is like paper thin. And you're like, damn, this gold medal Olympian came from here. And you juxtapose that to like the Nike Oregon facility that, kids out west in America, they train on every single day. And the shoes that they have, the sponsors, and we've done so much with so little. It's culture. It's culture. And it's just like, how do you bring elements of that system to different markets and to different aspects of society? But yeah, it's culture. All right, I know I skipped a lot. I know I see 76 comments here. Um, Let me see if anybody who I haven't really heard from here. Douglas Joseph says, blessings always coming from you. I'm always motivated just by listening to you talking. Learn, Grow, Invest says there's a lot of great investment opportunities right now. Jay Fitz says, I agree with you regarding education. However, how does culture play in lack of productivity? When I look at Asian countries, they're able to be productive even in some of the poorest areas. I think it's culture. I think it's like it's culture. I mean, if you grow up in like living your life a certain way, and you value certain elements of just life, right? And if as a society you have a high value on education, you have a high value on doing well in school and getting good grades, where and there's negatives to this as well, but there's nothing more shameful than coming home with bad grades. We don't live in a society like that. Like our value, unfortunately, I think, to Jerome's point earlier, much of our value is very much slated in keeping up with the Joneses and showing what I have and you don't have. And it's just it's messed up, and it's not around the fundamentals of living, I think, a fulfilled, prosperous life. And that can be seen in our music, that can be seen in social media platforms, how we dress, chains, um, luxury brands, even to the point of like you just not being able to afford it, but you just because you want to just show that you have this and that person doesn't. And Jerome, you said this earlier about social media and how it has ruined or made things a lot worse in our society. Like that is a big part of it. And I also think that I was just listening to this podcast, I think yesterday and today, and it was just speaking about our addictive, this is just generally speaking, but our addictive nature towards in this modern society to our phones, and how it's just become this drug. And again, I think as a society in Jamaica, it's like, what do you value? What do you as a parent like? What are you showing your kids that you value and that's important to you? And I don't want to pick on like something specific. You know, is it having like the is it having let's go with a car. So is it having like the newest BMW, right? And you are probably, or maybe you're a person that in no way, shape, or form could you afford this BMW, but and not only afford to purchase it, but also afford the maintenance that goes on it, and then also the monthly payments that you are just killing yourself to make every single month. But again, you want to show that you're wealthy and that you have money or come across that way. And you're showing this to your child, and then that becomes their value. And that becomes what their parent sees as being successful and being a looked at as somebody that they of approval in their parents' eyes. And this could go with anything. This could go with like having gold chains, having a Louis bag, or whatever have you. And so I look at Asian societies as you bring this up, Jay Fitz. I think that it's less of that. It's less of materialistic. And I know a lot of this comes from the American culture. Like it's the most America is the most in debt nation in the world on a per capita basis with credit cards, student loans, uh, auto loans. Oh my gosh, forget about it. But anyway, it's like one of those things. This is like, well, again, what do we value as a society? Like, do we value family time? Do we value the nuclear family? Do we value a mother and father household? Is that the norm? Is that supposed to be the norm? And I don't think so. This is not something that's like, at least I don't see. I don't see that as like becoming is like top value. Like, and again, comparing Asian cultures, and I don't really know like that. I'm with Asian cultures. Like, I just came back from Southeast Asia. Like, so I'm just reflecting on like how they move as a society, and family over there is extremely important. Number like very, very, very important. Like top priority. Like respect, especially in like South Korea. Oh my gosh, respect for the elders, respect for the older brother. And like I said this before on the podcast, like an elder could be somebody's 2 years older than you. Um, different values. And I think I don't know what it was like back in the day. And I know a lot of people say like back in the 60s or 70s, it was never like this. And I believe you. I really do believe you 100%. But from a societal standpoint, these aren't stuff that we're valuing and putting in like number one sort of thing. At least that's my experience. That's what I see. Let's see if you any more comments here. Kingston 16 says Jamaica should use technology to reduce friction in everyday transactions, such as banking. Agree with improving energy efficiency. Production costs will always be high. Yeah, I hope we're moving towards a society of just like, yo, we can make bank transfers with our phone, or we just touch our phones and hey, I give you back the $5 that you owe me. That would be awesome. Cami says funding universities that have engineering programs. Agreed. I like that. Jamaica says Jamaica uh, needs to look to the east to drive growth. For example, BRICS plus fastest growing economy are in the global south. The West is now more protectionist. Jamaica needs to adapt new technology and AI. Yep, the West is definitely moving towards more protectionist mindset than anything else. Only Me says, my first live stream in a while and enjoying the topic and discussion in the group. Awesome, awesome. Happy to hear. Learn, Grow, Invest says, as a business owner, productivity is of great concern to me. I've been thinking about this for years now. Donna Bryce says solar power might be more affordable energy source. It is, but it's still not like has fully rolled out. Like I would think by 2025, I thought like everything was going to be solar. Like when I first moved down here, still not there yet. Janice Morris says there was a time when we had a plethora of factories and they vanished in the late 80s. Can someone please educate me on what we produce now? Not a lot. Not a lot. What else we got here? Michael Wesley Roberts says heat also drains your thoughts and making positive decisions. Yep. Tell me about it. Can only tell you how I feel when I'm like on a 20-mile run in this Jamaican heat. Crazy. TDC consultants thought, in my humble opinion, we've lost the second greatest aspect slash ingredient of excellent productivity, and that's our regard, care, and healthy sustenance for humanity. Fair enough. Learn, grow, invest. Got a couple comments here. I'm going to read through them. Let me add some more details for you. A lot of stocks that trade on the market are still relatively liquid, so days, weeks, or months would pass, and some stocks don't trade. So when you have 300,000 market participants, that shouldn't be happening. I'm not convinced if we have a lower cost, we will increase productivity. Productivity is an individual and then collective issue, not a cost issue, in my opinion. It's already warm. More AC won't help global warming. Fair enough. I say, Jerome, learn, grow, invest. It's like, do you not think, would you be able to be as productive as you are without AC? Honestly, like, could you do what you do as long as you do it and as hard as you work? And I know you work very, very hard. Could you do it without AC? And I think you could do it to a point, but there's no way you'd be as good as you are without AC. There's just no way. And you got to think of it from that level. And like, you got to think of it from the next person. And that also goes for like, even this, my computer, and these lights that I have on here that allows us to have this good quality, good, hopefully it's a good quality stream. Um, it's like being able to afford to keep these on. I mean, yeah, sure, I could have been out in the sun or sitting on the deck, and which I'm sure many of you would like, but it's just like you got to think about it from like other people's perspective. And I think, and yeah, you have a point with global warming for sure, but there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance, and there is a reason why. I mean, I remember, um, I think I learned this in high school that one of the greatest inventions, or yeah, they said there would be no industrial revolution in America without the invention of ACs. There just simply wouldn't, because when you think about the factory workers who are slave, maybe that's not a good term to use, but who were in these factories under some of the worst conditions, so to speak, before the industrial revolution, and as a on a per capita productivity level, they could only work so many hours effectively per day because it's so hot. And forget about it, producing whatever product was coming off the factory floor during the summer. Again, very, very difficult. The production, the output that you have coming out of that factory is going to be lower. Is going to be lower because those factory workers can't work as long and they can't work as efficiently. They're going to be making more mistakes because they're hot, they're tired, they're sweaty, they're uncomfortable. So you're going to have more people getting hurt, hand getting caught in a machine, shirt getting caught in a machine. Then you also have, because of injuries on the workspace and the work floor increase because of this, you're going to have more people taking sick days, and then you're going to have more payouts because of insurance, because of healthcare. And so there's just so much more that goes into, oh, we don't have AC, it's, at least back then, at least specifically back then. And so now we're like, and this is kind of the scary part, like now we're moving into a situation where all of that is not even going to matter anymore because we're moving into robotics and AI. And you see it so much, like you see it like I don't know if you've seen videos of the Tesla factory or even an Amazon factory. There are so many jobs now that are being done by robots that it doesn't matter if you have AC. It doesn't matter if you are willing to work overtime. You have robots now that can work 24 hours a day and that are going to be taking, or are taking, jobs away from humans. And so, hey, maybe that's the way. maybe that's the way that Jamaica moves forward as a society. And it's scary to think because like I'm basically saying, hey, let's take these jobs away from the unproductive individuals and give them to robots. But if it would make us a more increase the quality of life for individuals, and it will lower the cost of living and give people better lives in general, maybe something to consider. All right, let's go down to some more of these new comments. Beverly Smith says, Throp, you are absolutely right. Our values are messed up, and yet we wonder why we have the kind of outcomes that we have. I think you're pronouncing his name wrong, Jamaica. We're gonna call him Jamaica. Yes, I agree. I'm pronouncing his name wrong. I'm sorry. Alfonso says, Jamaica has a blueprint, but we locked the leadership in the past. CC says, good afternoon. I have a land in Jamaica. What should I do first on this journey? How do I keep safe in a beautiful home? Hearing returning Jamaicans getting killed. We'll come back to that, CC. Shardine says, Jamaicans have a problem shelling out hundreds of thousands of liabilities vehicles. Yes, yet they complained about the cost of owning assets house. We need to change that. Beth says, as I type this message in my office with AC on now for a few hours, point taken, my PCs would burn out without it. I see your point for sure. Ari, the AC, and my wife 100% would agree with you as well. She sweats even in AC. I know the feeling. I'm a hot person naturally as well, so I'm very uncomfortable without it. Janice Moore says, I'm glad you can show the culture of Southeast Asian comparison to Jamaica, erratic violent behavior, because ever so often we use the excuse that it's the end of time. No, it's the end. No, it's not the end of time. I didn't say we have erratic, vile behavior. Sometimes, but it's definitely night and day. They're much more, they're calmer, more docile. I have to say, just generally more respectful from a stranger to stranger interaction. And it's like, and I'm not saying that we're not respectful in Jamaica. It's just there's a over respect, if you will, and a very much of like looking out for the next person, even if it's a stranger on the train. And it's it's just a very, very, very different world from Jamaica. But I mean, I think there are like great elements of Jamaican society and culture that even from interacting that I do miss. I very much do miss about Jamaica when I'm away. And you know, I appreciate that Jamaicans are going to act Jamaican and who they are, like no matter what, and whereas like in Asian countries, there is this, what would I say, this sameness across the board. Whereas here, you'll just see the personality of that individual, and they're, for the most part, not afraid to show off that personality. And like we have it here, even in travelers, and I think that adds to the experience of staying with us, in that we do encourage the individual to show off their personality and be who they are, obviously within the context of a hospitality profession. But I think that also is what fosters great relationships with our guests that have been built over years and years and years. And we have guests that have been coming to travelers for over 20 years. I think over 20. I was talking to one guest, Greg. He must have been coming here. We are 2025. Definitely over 25 years he's been coming here. For sure. He's been coming here since the 90s, which is incredible. And he's formulated some great relationships. Whereas, and I said this before, I'm not saying this doesn't happen, but like, the hotels, I stayed at for example, when I was in South Korea, I stayed in a very, very extremely nice hotel in South Korea. I think it was, I want to say it was a 5-star hotel with phenomenal customer service. But it was like the same across the board, and everybody fell into this cookie cutter level of service, which is high level of service. Um, it could be a language barrier too. Everybody spoke English, but it's not their first language. So, maybe there was an element of timidness to interact on more of a personal level. Whereas here, it's just like, people are gonna ask about Greg's family back home. And, he went to Black River the other day, and people are gonna say, "Hey, how was Black River?" He always goes there for a couple of days. And we have families that come here year after year that expect to see Romeo at the bar, our Patreon at the cashier station, our Suan serving them coffee in the morning. And it's just like, again, these relationships are just part of our culture that I think, I don't know, from my perspective, it's like Jamaicans want to interact and they want to get to know you, and there's like a curiosity that they act on. And I think it's important to foster that and to play on that and kind of let that flourish. And you don't get that you don't, at least I didn't really get that when I was in when I was in some of those countries. Again, a different type of service, a different type of experience. And it's just different. Let's see here. Justin D says, every time I've been to Travelers, I met someone new who's been coming there for decades. Big up to your father. Yes, definitely, definitely. Maj Williams says, here in Africa, the Asian business owners treat their employees badly. As a Jamaican, I refuse to support them. Is this the same in Jamaica? Not that I know of. I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that. Has anybody heard that differently? Mocan says, visited Travelers 2 weeks ago. Good times. Anyways, what's going on St. Mary, Tower Isles, Fleming Airport development info? Sorry, don't have any updated information on that. Something that I can look into, but don't have any updates at all. There's another comment that I wanted to go to. Anyway, we'll still read some more comments here. Matique Edwards says, however, as it relates to productivity, our best talents and educated leave the country, help develop elsewhere, but turn around and say Jamaica is bad investment, which is unfair because most didn't try. I mean, I'd also say, like, yeah, that this is true, and hopefully we can reverse this a bit in the near future. But yeah, you're helping, and there's nothing wrong with that, because like going to other countries and working for different foreign national companies and helping build those companies and countries, like that's what you're doing, and perhaps that's the best opportunity for you. And I don't fault you for that. And if you find yourself in a situation where you don't feel like you have the best chance at living a happy and fulfilled life here in Jamaica, and you have an opportunity to go abroad and do that, then make it happen. Make it happen. But the opposite is also true. The opposite is also true. And I saw that in Bali. I see that here in Jamaica. And I think it's just such a wonderful time for us to live in, where if you are privileged enough to be in a position where you are in a country or state or city or wherever, that you say to yourself and you realize, like, yes, I was born here, I grew up here, but this place doesn't fit who I am. This place doesn't fit my personality. And there is another place on this planet that would make me so much happier, that would make me exponentially so much happier and so much more fulfilled. And you have the ability to get up, sell all your stuff, pack up, and move to that place that makes you happy. And you can earn a living, and you can create the life that you feel as if you couldn't in your origin, in your home of origin. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. And you should be very extremely grateful that you have the ability to do that, because there are millions, and dare I say billions, of people on this earth that don't have that. chance at all. And you think about, people in Gaza, Ukraine, all the, some war torn countries where they can't, they are in this hell. They are used to bombs dropping on their head. They have family members that have been killed because of war. And now you watch some video on YouTube about Bali, and you can go there and be a digital nomad and live your dream life there, even though I don't like Bali. But there are people who look at that and is like, that's what makes them happy. And I'm happy that they're able to do that. And there are so many people who feel the same exact way about Jamaica. And they feel they were meant to live here. They were meant to be born here. And there's just something about this island. There's just something about this place that completely aligns with who they are. And this is their happy place. This is the happiest place on earth for them. And that's great. And then there are Jamaicans who are born and raised here and live here, and maybe they've gotten their college degree, and or maybe they're in this career, and they don't feel as if they're living a fulfilled life, or they have opportunities that would allow them to reach their full potential as a human being. So they look for opportunities elsewhere in Canada, in the US, in Europe, or wherever it is, and they decide to get up and go there. And that's a beautiful thing too. That's a beautiful thing too. And yes, do I wish that we could keep our best and our brightest? I think we are in many respects. I think we have some very top high performers that could have gone abroad. They could have taken their education, their skill set, and gone to work for all these different companies and making all this money. Heck, me and my brothers are some of those individuals without question. I mean, we all went to great schools in the US, have great education, have great networks still in New York, and we could have been making tons of money, from the standpoint of, what it means to be successful in, say, New York, or on the East Coast, or whatever, working for, a finance company or IT company, whatever have you. But no, we decided here. We decided that Jamaica is for us, and I'll speak for myself. It's, to me, this was like the greatest opportunity that I had, and I was doing the whole rat race of trying to get working for a finance company in New York. And I made this decision in college that I think my best opportunity would be moving to Jamaica and being part of my family's business and helping to grow it. And, now I'm less involved in the family business, but still part of it in a big way, but out of the operational aspect of it. And now I use this platform I created to share not only my story of being down here and living down here, but also giving others the opportunity to share their stories and how they came down here, and hopefully helping you all facilitate your Jamaica dreams if this is something that you are considering investing in, or a place that you're considering moving to. But there's there's people going and comment on both sides, is what I'm trying to say here. And if there is an opportunity to create continue to create a society where, our top performers are saying, heck no, I'd rather take my skills here. I'd rather leave my skills here in Jamaica and help build this industry or this market and build my country. Yeah, we want to create more and more of that. And hopefully through stories that I share here, people can see, like, people who live here not only can see, like, man, we have a great thing going on here, but we just got to work it. But then also people abroad who are like, hey, I'm moving here, or I never even considered living in Jamaica. This sounds like a wonderful place and a wonderful lifestyle. Let me go ahead and give it a try. All right. Thank you, Fatik, for that. All right. Let's get some questions here. Chadwin says, just find a decent, like-minded group of friends. Every weekend you gather at a different place, roast some excuse me, roast some breakfast, jerk some chicken, fish, pork with some lemonade, etc. Trust me, that's the spirit. That sounds absolutely beautiful. I love that. I love that. Blooming Rose says, "Oh, yeah, sorry." Matt said, "Let me just read this first." Matt Williams says, "We want to return. Now we are afraid because what is in the media, plus how expensive Jamaica is getting." So I'm gonna. Somebody brought something up of that nature before that I saved. I'm gonna get to that in a second. Blooming Rose says, "I hear you, Madge. I try my best not to purchase from them in the UK. Plus, are we talking about the Chinese situation?" Chadwin says, "Jamaica is an amazing place. Things have vastly improved. Lots of development. The weather is perfect. We just need to adjust our attitudes, be more courteous to each other." So I'll say on that, man, I wanted to cut off at 2 hours. I was going to go way too long. Um, so I'll say to that, like, things have vastly improved. And I was just thinking about this morning, and we were just complaining about the cost of electricity and us needing more competition to go up against JPS, which I agree with. And I'm just thinking about, I was thinking this morning about just how much better JPS and elect- electricity has gotten in Jamaica in terms of the consistency of it. And I speak specifically of like here in Negril. And I moved here in 2006. And I'm telling you back then, like power outages were like just a regular thing. And it would be out for hours and hours. There was no communication. You had no idea when it was coming back. Nobody told you nothing. And it was just like you were at, and we didn't have a generator back then either. And you were just at the whim of just, I don't know what, however that person that was supposed to fix the line or whatever, how they were feeling and or how they got out of bed that morning. And like that has completely changed. That has completely changed. And power supply has just become so consistent here. I can speak to Negril unlike ever before. And like, this is almost 20 years ago. And it has vastly, vastly, vastly improved where you don't even think about it at this time. Like you literally don't even think about it. It's just something that you expect. And it's just like a crazy, crazy improvement. And I'm sure it was so much worse leading up to the 2006 when I moved here. And forget about like, look at what happened with Beryl over the summer in July. And back in the day, I think it was the last real hurricane I did was Hurricane Dean before that, and power was out for days and days and days. Granted, we had, I wanna say weeks at that point. Well, some places were weeks. And during Beryl, like, some places was weeks as well here. But, I mean, I was just so surprised at how quickly things got back up and running given how devastating Beryl was. And if you like even look at the videos that I was posting, like these guys were on it. These guys were on it. So yes, I just want to say that there has been vast improvement. That's one of the things that I can say. Vast, 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 vast improvement in that aspect of things. I also say, and I brought this up as I was talking about like our flow situation here, travelers, which continues to be just absolutely horrendous. These guys haven't even talk to us. So Flow used to be cable and wireless, if you all remember back in the day, and one of the worst, like the worst, 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 the worst of the worst of the worst back then, because they were the only ones available. They were the only service provider. And then Digicel came, Claro came, and I think there was one other. I remember somebody mentioning that I forgot the name of it. But we had three different phone services, at least three. And that's when cable and wireless like stepped up their game, and then they eventually rebranded as Flow because they had such a just a real terrible, terrible. Almost cursed. Just a real terrible reputation, so they decided to rebrand as Flow. But I mean, that was like putting lipstick on a pig at this point because it's the same terrible service that we're experiencing now. And I mentioned this before, like our phone line, our main business phone lines have been down since I want to say this fall or the summer. I want to say just terrible, just absolutely terrible. And like nobody's called us back. We're not hearing anything. And this is going without trying. We've been in business here for 30 something years at this point. Like we know how things operate and we know how things run and we know how to get things done here in Jamaica, and you still can't get it done. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we've got a solution. We're working with Digicel now, and we're moving on. But my point in bringing up that example is that generally speaking, the phone service and telecommunications in Jamaica has gotten exceptionally better. Granted, it is because of because of competition, excuse me, and it has gotten so much better. So that has gotten better and continues to get better. And so these are just like good examples, I would say, of things getting better in Jamaica and things moving forward. As much as people complain that things are just moving backwards and nothing's happening. Justin, thank you so much, my man. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. It says buy some patties and cocoa bread for the neat kids. I will. That's exactly what I'm going to do. With that money. I'll tell them it came from you. I'm going to give it to them next Saturday. I'm going to make sure we get that to them. Thank you for that, Justin. Appreciate it. Right. Let's see. I want to move into our next topic here. Now people are talking bad about Flo, so let's read these comments. I remember Flo being lime. Yep, I remember that as well. Donna Bryce says a monopoly is always a nightmare for consumers. Absolutely, I agree. Pauline says it's such an amazing boost for Jamaica and young Jamaicans by MJ. Justin D says I'm done with Flo. Last trip I couldn't call people who had Digicel phones. What? What is that about? Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know what that's about at all. B Mobile. Oh my gosh, forgot about that. B Mobile. Forgot about that. B Mobile, Claros, cable and wireless. Bringing back some memories there. All right. Let's take a quick break here, and then we're gonna move into supposed to be the second half. But it's time to be flying here. Just us like chilling and talking. It just be going by like crazy fast. Let's see which one am I gonna pull up here. Let's do the Negril drive-through real quick. Probably won't get through the whole thing. But just going to take a quick refresh and then we'll get into the second half. Be right back. Hello and welcome. If this is your first time visiting, a special welcome to you. We got a special feature today. We are doing a driving tour of Negril, Jamaica, particularly focusing on the West End. And this is a bit of a long video. It's about 40 minutes. And depending on where you're watching it, this will be in different parts or one long video. My name is Winthrop Wellington, by the way, and here on my channel we really discuss all things Jamaica, but today, as I mentioned, we're going to be doing a bit of tour of Negril, and we're just going to flow with it and see where this takes us. So we are starting this tour off on Norman Manley Boulevard, otherwise known as the Beach Road at Travelers Beach Resort, which is my family's hotel. And of course we gotta wait for the traffic, but across there on the left side of your screen, that is our NEAT Resource Center, or the Negril Education Environment Trust Resource Center. NEAT is my family's nonprofit organization which focuses on education for young people. So right now we're heading south on Norman Manley Boulevard. Pretty beautiful day, as you can see. I don't know what the temperature was when we filmed this, but it was nice. It was a nice day. And so we're heading towards downtown Negril, and on your left is the shared user path. So that's running, walking, biking, and that goes for a little bit over 2 miles. To your right is the Negril beach park. It has a basketball court and the beach, of course, and just really open space. Unfortunately, it's closed right now. They have plans to do some refurbishing, and then we just passed the Negril Community Center. And then we're also passing the craft market on your right side, and this is the South Negril River and Bridge. And we're heading to the Negril roundabout. Of course, going into the roundabout, you have to give way, and if you're in the roundabout, you have the right of way. And we are going West End, so we're going to be taking a right here at the roundabout and veering left. And so here downtown, this is a few shopping centers, if you will. There's Little Caesars Pizza on the right, Popeyes, Burger King. There's a Digicel store down here as well. And on the left coming up is Scotiabank, which some people might be familiar with depending on where you are from, but it's a Canadian bank. And I guess officially this is where the west end of Negril starts. And on your left here is Corner Bar, which is a pretty popular restaurant. Great local food. Haven't had it in a while, but the reviews continue to be very good. And on the left, that's Bender's Plaza. That's the Negril Chamber of Commerce owned plaza. And on the right, obviously, we have the sea. Unfortunately, I don't think we panned right, but you basically can see the entirety of Negril on the right-hand side if you were to look right. You need to get a 360 camera next time, right? Anyway, on the left is the Negril Post Office. Not in the greatest of shapes, but that is our post office. And then right after that is Samuel's Hardware on the left. And that's, I would say, probably the most popular hardware store in Negril. Mostly every business uses them. And then on the left, the green building, that's Quality Traders. That's where I do my grocery shopping. Been going there for years. And then we're coming up on the, I guess what used to be the High-Low Value Master NCB Plaza, but NCB and High-Low moved. So that's no longer there, and that place is being refurbished. And this is called Church Corner. As we move through the West End. Just cruising. And this is the Negril Library on the left, and then followed by Negril All Age School. And then this is another hardware store on the left. Hope you guys are enjoying this so far. I'm just flowing with it, and as I see things, I want to point them out to you. On the right is the Negril Yacht Club, which is for sale. Hopefully, should be doing a video on that hopefully sometime soon. Canoe Bar is on the right. It's pretty much the only property on the West End that has a beach. Good food there. Haven't been there in a while either, but their food is pretty good. That used to be German Bar, but I don't know what it is now, but boats used to pull up there. They used to have really good pizza. This used to be Boat Bar on the right, but it changed into something else. I'm not sure what it is now. And then Millard is on the left, and if you know Millard, that's 24 Hours Place. Good food as well. And then Patsy's is on the right, so they do, I think it's basically the only standalone coffee shop in Negril. And they do good pastries, good lunch. I did a live stream from there and also did a video with them as well for the channel, which was cool. This is Ocean Cliff on the right we just passed. I did the farewell dinner there for ThropX 2022. Beautiful property, formerly known as the Spa Retreat. But beautiful property, great food that we had there for the farewell dinner retreat. And here on the West End, like, it's a very different experience than the beach. As you can see, like, it's very, it's I wouldn't say secluded, maybe too strong of a word, but definitely when you're on the properties, it's a little bit more secluded and separated, as compared to the beach, where there's just more traffic and no real, I guess, super separation between the properties. And really talking in terms of traversing. So to go from property to property here, you actually have to come out the property and walk along the roads here. Whereas like the properties on the beach, you can either walk on the beach and go from property to property, or the road, if you will. And if you're across the street from the beach, then we have the shared user path, depending on where the property is. Now we are passing Samsara, which is friends of the family, another good small hotel in Negril. Sorry about that wind sound. I didn't anticipate that, but that just makes sense. All right, we're back. Sorry to cut that short, but want to get on with it. We are over 2 hours, which I did not expect. Was not the plan, but we here. I do. All right, we got all right. So we're get into some tourism stuff in a second, but I do want to tell you about today's live stream sponsor, which, as I mentioned before, is Suncoast Beach Club. You got their website and contact information right there below. I work with these folks on, it wasn't even work with, I decided just to show up on the ribbon cutting ceremony at the St. Thomas Suncoast Beach Club last year in February. And it was just like a really, really awesome experience. And they were also a platinum sponsor for Thropex 2023. Great development that's happening, that's really, really moving things forward on that side of the island. And I just want to quickly play you the beginning of the video that I did with them last year. If you haven't seen it before, you can check it out in the description below. And this is going to take maybe, I think, 90 seconds or something like that.
St. Thomas is no longer a forgotten parish. St. Thomas is now in the forefront of the minds of not just the people, but of investors.
To be classed as the forgotten parish, this is something that helps people never forget you again.
There's literally hardly any land for sale now in St. Thomas.
No, you're 12 minutes to Kingston. By the time you get on the highway and drive, you're 7 minutes to Harbour.
It's going to be huge. It's going to be great for the people of St. Thomas.
The longer I wait, the price is going to be bigger.
Jamaica is at its inflection point, where the rate of change is going to happen very rapidly.
Hello, droppers, and welcome back to another real estate tour video. We are here on the other side of the island in beautiful St. Thomas. And for those who are visiting for the first time, a special welcome to you. My name is Winthrop Wellington, and here on my channel, I help you invest and move to Jamaica. And this is one of the premier pieces of content that I'm so excited to share with you today. I'm here at Suncoast Beach Club in St. Thomas, as I mentioned, at the ribbon cutting ceremony. Today, I hope to learn even more about this development, even though I've had Kevin Trist, the CEO of this development, on the podcast twice, once on my live stream and also once on the podcast itself. So I'll make sure we link those below and put up the information link up here somewhere. Should be a very, very exciting day ahead. I'm looking again to learn a little bit more about this development, but also more about St. Thomas and where it's coming from and where it's going. It's a really, really exciting time for Jamaica. This is the first of its kind, especially in this part of the island. There's a lot of exciting things happening in Jamaica, and I'm just very happy and proud to be a part of this ribbon cutting ceremony today. And I'd also like to get your thoughts on what you think about this development happening on this side of the island. Are you excited about it? For some reason, don't want it. I'd like to hear your input. But nonetheless, I really do hope you enjoy this video. So sit back, relax, and come and join the fun with me. What does this property really mean to St. Thomas?
It's the tip of the spear. Like one of the things that St. Thomas has
All
over
right.
the years been the best.
If you are interested in seeing the rest of that, you can check out the link below. And I think it's a great, obviously because I made it, but I think it's a great piece of content to really learn about that development and that side of the island. I also have a brochure here. If anybody's interested, let me know. You can shoot me an email and I get it over to you right away, throp@thropmedia.com. But this is just some more, I would say, up-to-date information on the development. And I know people were asking before, where's a good place to invest and where do you recommend and where are you looking? And just like with any investment, it's like one of those things you want to buy low, sell high situation and get in early on something. And this is like still a very, very early investment. And let me see, I'm trying to get to the prices for you. I know that's something that people are interested in. So there you go. The prices are right there on the screen. If you're interested in any of these, I would encourage you to reach out to their team. The website is there, suncoastbeachclub.com. And if you want to shoot them, give them a call, 876-216-5454. But they have 2 and 3 bedrooms ranging from 420,000 US up to 580,000 US. Also, just want to point out one personal thing here. Obviously, they have great amenities: pool, clubhouse, tennis courts. What do you call that? Paddle. I know that's something very, very, very popular as well these days. But the beachfront, let's go up to the top here. I saw here. Oh yeah. So their phase 2, which is where I finished the video, is like just a really extremely, extremely spectacular view that I can speak from personal experience. And I'm not sure if those are for sale yet, but it's just a spectacular view, as you can see from the drone shots in the video, that you can take a look at. I'd encourage you to reach out to them for more information and even do a site tour as well. I know a lot of people spend a lot of time in Kingston. It's literally 15 minutes from downtown Kingston, like the waterfront area. So very, very quick drive. That's a brand new highway that's there as well. So it's an easy commute to pop over and check it out and see it for yourself. So yeah, go ahead, give them a call, shoot them an email, which is on your screen right now, or visit their website for more information. Pickleball, yeah, not paddle. Thank you for that, Cami. Pickleball, not paddle. So yeah, thank you so much, Suncoast Beach Club, for being today's live stream sponsor. Appreciate you so much. Allows us to continue to do what we do here. And once again, encouraging you all, check them out. Think it's a good investment worth considering. All right, let's move on to our second half, if you will. And I just want to bring some tourism news to the forefront here. So one of the most important aspects of hospitality and tourism, especially being the island nation that we are, is flights, and making sure, I think, is important. One of the important mandates of any tourism minister, particularly here in Jamaica, is like, where are we expanding to? What new destinations are coming to Jamaica that we didn't have before? And so let's do the new destination first. Oh man, I got so many tabs open here. It's crazy. Too many tabs. All right. So the first one is charter flights from Portugal to Montego Bay, which is awesome. 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 Let me bring up the article here. There we go. So, whoops. I don't know why it's not making me. It's not what I'm trying to do. Okay, I think we're just gonna have to live with this view here. Okay, so this article reads: weekly nonstop Portugal Montego Bay charter flights already 50% sold out. This is the Jamaica Gleaner, January 22nd, 2025, and it was written by who's this written by? Janet Silvera. And it says, we'll quickly go through it. Jamaica's tourism sector is poised for a boost as the planned weekly nonstop flights from Lisbon, Portugal to Montego Bay, St. James have already seen 50% occupancy months ahead of scheduled launch in summer. Development was disclosed by officials at World to Meet, the travel and tourism division of Spanish hotel and tourism conglomerate Iberostar Group, operator of World to Fly, at the 45th staging of the International Tourism Fair Tour 2025, and now underway in Madrid, Spain. Tourism stakeholders are optimistic that all flights will be fully booked by March. The Lisbon Montego Bay flights will be serviced by the state-of-the-art Airbus 350. Oh, great airplane. With a seating capacity of approximately 432 passengers, World to Fly focuses on leisure destinations in the Caribbean, offering routes from Spain and Portugal. The flights are expected to provide a seamless travel experience between Europe and the Caribbean. In welcoming the news, Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett underscored its importance in strengthening Jamaica's connections between to European markets. The new route underscores the growth appeal of Jamaica as a premier destination for Europeans to travel, Bartlett said. It also reflects our continuous effort to diversify and expand our tourism markets, he added. World to Meet's Director General Alejandro Ceballos told the Gleaner shortly after his meeting with the Jamaican tourist officials this morning that the airline has grown considerably and that this new route is very popular, attracting bookings from passengers eager to visit Jamaica. The talks, which commenced last summer at the World Travel Market in London, emphasized Jamaica's commitment to bolstering air connectivity to foster tourism growth and the island's strategic goal to expand its reach within the European market. Portugal, one of Europe's fastest growing travel hubs, and Jamaica can expect to attract a diverse range of visitors, simultaneously supporting their tourism-driven economies. As the summer 2025 launch approaches, the aviation and tourism sectors are preparing to accommodate increased demand, highlighting Jamaica's appeal as a world-class destination, which I think is like really, really awesome. And I also think like from like a selfish residential standpoint, I always say Jamaica has incredible, incredible airlift. If you live here and you're a traveler like I am, and you just like seeing the world and like exploring the world, Jamaica it's just an amazing hub. They're like depending on especially this time of year, there are just so many direct flights that you can get you to all around the world, to different parts of South America, all over Europe, obviously the United States and Canada. But it is a great, great hub. You know, if and especially like you live in Montego Bay and you could be minutes away from the airport, it's like, why not? If you live here, you retired here, or you're spending significant time here, you know, pop somewhere else. Great, great hub for that. Great hub. I think it's just such a huge advantage of living here. But anyway, this is phenomenal news that, as the article is saying, that we are opening up to more European nations. And I think this is overall a net positive for Jamaica. And I think it's just really, really great. So kudos to the tourism minister, the tourism ministry, the tourism minister, and the Jamaica Tourist Board. I think this is very welcome news, and it's just great overall. Another one I want to bring up is, hold on. Is this the same one? No, this is a different one. All right, this is another article. Tourism. Can you see that, guys? Tourism Minister welcomes TUI's flight expansion. Strategic investment. This is January 29, 2025. This is in Loop News. Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett has welcomed TUI's group's plan for significant flight expansion and bullish investment that will benefit the island. The announcement by the group unveils an ambitious plan to significantly increase its flight operations out of Europe, particularly from Italy and Spain, with a focus on expanding routes to the Caribbean destinations with strategic emphasis on the destination. The announcement followed a meeting at Fitur in Spain on January 22nd, led by Minister Bartlett, his senior tourism team, and the TUI group senior executives, led by their CEO, Sebastian Abel. TUI Group, headquartered in Germany, is one of the world's leading tourism entities and operates worldwide with over 20 million customers. The group fully or partially owns several travel agencies, hotel chains, cruise lines, and retail shops, as well as 5 European airlines. These guys control pretty much the whole vertical. An expansion of flights out of Europe and more investment in Jamaica from this longstanding partner augurs well with our tourism sector, as we will be able to leverage this to increase arrivals and earnings for our economy. The announcement perfectly aligns with our KPIs of welcoming 5 million visitors and earnings by this year, said Minister Bartlett. So more great news, I think, in tourism. Like I said, the more flights that we get here from different areas and different parts of the globe, the better it is for tourism as a whole. And just like another example of just like Jamaica moving forward, particularly in the tourism sector. All right, let's get to some comments here. Cami says, Throp, you bring up some great infrastructure points. These are some things I don't hear enough about when I hear about, I'm an architect professor and think this is brilliant. Thank you. Justin D says, trade wars will only benefit a few people at the top. Canada and Mexico are the United States, our largest trading partners. This is how he stated tanking the economy the last time. Trump is a buffoon. I must be reading this out of context. I'm not sure where that came from, Justin. Johnny Johnson says there is organization attempt to remove Bamashanti. Oh, I don't even know what this is. Pauline Roberts says some countries do sleep time during the day, time at a productivity phase due to being too hot. I know that's popular in Spain. Siestas. I don't know if we could do siestas. Sometimes they siesta without it being an official siesta here. Okay, see, I see the context here. Chadwayne says, Throp, how do you think the current trade war will impact Jamaica's tourism industry, the island as a whole? Great question. I mean, it's so difficult to say because I just don't understand the overall strategy. And like there's a big part of it that seems like you're shooting yourself in the foot, like America is shooting itself in the foot. And I don't get that. And I'm sure there's like a lot of smart people in that administration, economists, and that all of those sorts of brainiac people. And I'm like, are they seeing something that we don't see? Do we have blind spots that we're unaware of? And so like I question all that. It just, to me, it doesn't make sense as far as how I understand economics. Is it a ploy to show like our strength, the America's strength? I don't know. So it's hard to say what this, like, I'm trying to put it in context is what I'm saying. How it will affect Jamaica? Man, I don't know. It doesn't necessarily, like, I just think it's like goes back to that saying, like, if the US catches a cold, Jamaica sneezes. And that still remains to be true. If the US economy is affected in any significant way, so is the Jamaican economy, from remittances to tourism. That's 1 and 2 right there. So maybe it'll be a good thing for the US. Hard for me to see that that's the situation. Maybe I need to look into this a little bit more, study a little bit more, and see what could be the ramifications. But I don't know. It's just really really hard to say. Um, it just tells me that we need to continue to diversify as a nation, as I always say, like as well as tourism is doing for Jamaica, and it continues to be the goose that laid the golden egg without question. We need more industries here. I feel like we need more manufacturing, but with that comes we need to lower utility costs. We need to lower electricity costs so we can produce, become. I know somebody had mentioned this before about us having more factories, but is there an opportunity for Jamaica to become a nation of manufacturing? I'm not sure. Hard for me to see, to be honest. Very, very hard for me to see. Somebody only me says, if you're talking about the Trump administration, the smart people have left the building and the idiots are running the show. I don't know. Do we have any, like, I don't know, any I don't want to turn this political, but like I'm so curious. And maybe I need to do my own research here, but like, what's the play here? What is the ideal income? Excuse me. What is the ideal outcome of all this? Like, seemingly, it's chaotic. I don't think anybody can argue like this has been a chaotic, 10 days, 2 weeks, or whatever it is. Um, what's up? What's going on? What's supposed to happen here? How is this all gonna turn out? How is this all gonna benefit us? So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it's just crazy that we all knew this was going to be taking up a large portion of our conversations, and I try not. I pay attention. I need to pay a little attention, but I'm thankfully, I don't live in the United States, and I don't have to pay attention every single day. And I refuse to watch the news daily. Like I'll YouTube here and there. I'll listen to a podcast here and there, but definitely I'm not letting this thing take up what's going on, take up like all this as least amount of brain space that I have in my head, right? Ronnie says there is no strategy. Yeah, I'm hoping that there is. I'm hoping that there is for all of our sakes. Project 2025, Jay Fitz. Yeah, maybe I need to look into that. Maybe I look into that. Ronnie says nobody wins. All right, I think we're gonna call it there. Yeah, I think we're gonna leave it there. If you haven't already, you can check out. I put it in the chat before. I'll throw it up there again. If you haven't checked out the interview I did at the Jamaica Stock Exchange, take a look. I'll just throw it in the chat right there. Again, if you have any inquiries or want to look into Suncoast Beach Club, all of the links are below in the description, as well as the podcast that I did with Kevin Frith, the CEO and founder. And we did a live stream as well. All of those links are in the description below. And yes, please listen to Chris and hit that like button. It helps out a ton. And we will be here next week, Sunday, live streaming. I'm going to put out, I don't know what I'm putting out this week, but we got a video coming out on the weekend for sure. We are pushing out content. We are pushing out content. Only 17 of 147. What does that mean? There's only 17 likes. Is that what you're telling me, Chris? Hit that like button, everybody. All right. We're going to close out. Thank you once again, Suncoast, for being today's live stream sponsor. If you are interested in being a sponsor, let me know. We got a couple more coming on board, which I really, really appreciate. You can shoot me a DM on Instagram, or you can email me at drop@thropmedia.com. This was so much fun. I enjoyed this one, and more content coming out this week. And I will see you next Sunday, same place, probably around the same time. Peace, everyone. Have a great week.